Okay, fourth graders, today is Monday, October 21st, and we are continuing on with our math lessons with Module 3, Lesson 4. You'll recall last week we did Module 3, Lessons 1, 2, and 3, and they were all about finding area and perimeter. Yes? Now, area is really related to a math concept, and if you've been keeping one ear out listening to my 5th grade lessons, you've heard the word area model a lot. And you might have seen that they've been using the area model to do what? To represent multiplication. Very good. And the reason why your Module 3 lessons started with area and perimeter is because we're going to use area, just like the 5th graders, as a way to represent multiplication. But before we get into that, we're going to go back to all the way what we learned in Module 1 about place value, about the ones place, the tens place, the hundreds place, the thousands place, etc., and how those place values are related to help us look for patterns about multiplying by tens, hundreds, and thousands. The directions ask us to draw number discs. Number discs are simply dots, okay, and arrows, which are arrows, to represent each new product. So the question I'm asking you to solve right now is 7 times 100. Go ahead and write that in your notebook, and then give yourself a place value chart. It's been a while since we've drawn place value charts, but I want to remind you, they are just lines and words. Make sure your place value chart has ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands. In order to use number discs to represent my number 7, I have to draw 7 dots in the what column? In the ones column. Very good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. As a reminder, I like to draw 5 in a row before moving down to my next row because it helps me see groups of 10 easily. Okay? Now, what's 7? Do you guys agree that 100 is 10 times 10? Right? So if I'm multiplying by 100, that's the same as multiplying by 10 and then by multiplying by another 10. So what's 7 times 10? 70, right? So it's like 70, by the way, is 7 tens, right? So I moved these over here to multiply by 10. But then I had to multiply by another 10. So what's 70 times 10? 7. What's 70 times 10, everyone? If I multiply this by 10, 1 10 becomes 100. And 2 tens becomes 200s. So 7 tens becomes 700. So 7 ones times 100 equals to 7 hundreds. Each time I multiplied by 10, what happened to my number discs? They shifted one place value digit to the thank you. How come I had to shift it 2 times? Because I was multiplying by 100, which is the same as 10 times 10. 10 times 10. So every time I'm multiplying by 10, I shift it over one place value digit to the left. So you can just go ahead and draw a line under your place value so that you show you're working on a new problem, if you would like, or you can draw a new one. Okay, now my number is 15. How do I represent the number 15 on a place value chart using number discs? Swarnima? 110 and 5 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I'm multiplying by 10. So that means I need to shift those discs to the left or to the right? To the left. How many 10s am I multiplying by? 1 10 only. So how many do I have to shift it over? Good. So this 110 times 10 equals 100. Good. 100. And then my 5 ones, if I shift those to the left, by the way, after you shift them, they're not there anymore, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 ones times 10 becomes 5 tens. So my final answer is 105 tens, which is 105 tens and 0 ones, which is 150. So as again, we can see that when we multiplied by 10, each disc had to shift one place value position to the left. Our number is 22. So how do I represent 22 using number discs in the place value chart? Sunvi. 2 ones and 2 tens. Now we're multiplying by 100. How many tens? How do I make 100 using only tens? 10 times 10. So do you guys agree that 22 times 100 is the same as 22 times 10 times 10? Yeah? So how are these going to shift? How do my two tens, I have to shift it times 10 and then another times 10. So those two are going to end up in the thousands. Good. And then my ones, these ones are going to times 10 and times 10. So they're going to end up in the, good. So I'm going to end up with 2,000s, 200s. How many tens do I have left? 0. And how many ones do I have left? 0, because they shifted by 2 spots, right? So 22 times 10 is equal to 2,200. So what's 22 times 100? 2,200. This one's a little bit different because I have 4 times 20. In my previous problems, they were always times 10 or 100. Like the first digit was always a 1. Now my first digit is a 2. But don't worry, we still have skills we can do that to solve this. 20 is the same as 2 times 10. Do you guys agree? So 4 times 20 is the same as 4 times 2 times 10. Do you guys agree? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. I can break up 20, the factor, into 2 factors because 2 times 10 is the same as 20. We know that 2 and 10 are factors that make 20. So 4 times 20 is the same as 4 times 2 times 10. Now, using the associative property, remember when I associate with someone, I group together with them, right? I can associate with different people and we're still in the same class, right? Okay, so before I was associating 2 and 10 together to make 20. But using the associative property of multiplication, I can say that that's the same thing as 4 and 2 associated together times 10. So using discs, here is how you can show it. If I have 4, that's 4 ones, right? There's my 4 ones. But I'm going to make 2 copies of it, times 2. So here we go. Do you guys agree that this is 4 times 2?
Yes.
What is 4 times 2? Based on what I drew, 8. Now I have to times 10. How do I show times 10? I have to shift all 8 of these one spot to the, good. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So what do I have left? 8 in the tens column. So that's 8 tens or 80. So 4 times 20 is 80. And you already knew that in your head, but this is how you use pictures and numbers to prove it. Make sense? Great.